Right. That done it. Let's see. Right, let's try this again, because YouTube decided to do it unlisted. So I was streaming for a minute there and didn't notice. Um, right, now I've got the thing. Let's just see if it definitely is streaming. This is the problem when you don't do this regularly. I have no idea what you're doing. There we go. Good, it's definitely doing it now. Lovely. Oh, hello everyone, this is just a quick live stream. I'm not going to expect many people because I'm doing this at a bit of a different time than usual. So, um, but well, I'll just send out the links while everyone's probably coming in. Announcements and at everyone, thank you. Apologies for the typing. Live stream. It's the it's the 13th of day. I got the date right. 125. Everyone. Send now. Yeah, that's it. Good. Now Twitter. Anyone watch? I've got 2 viewers and 1 like at the minute. Nobody's in chat at the moment. Tweet. Right. Well, it seems to be working, but I don't know if anyone's in the chat. Hello, if you're there. Facebook. I suspect most of the American audience will probably be asleep at this point, so and probably most of the person in the UK probably at work. So just this is the only time I've really had to stream today, and I'm probably recording a video later, so which I'll get on to in a moment. There we go. Why hasn't it done the third one? Oh, I'll change the thumbnail in a bit. Can I change that live, the thumbnail? Oh, good morning from the New Mexico. So I do get a few US viewers. That's good. Yeah. Thank you, Brian. Let me try edit. Can I edit the thumbnail? Customization. How do I do the thumbnail? I don't know. There we are. Thumbnail. Change. I'll go to YouTube. National Materials. That one. Open. There we go. I'm always noticing something that's not right. So, did I do the Facebook post? Yeah, I did the Facebook post. Right, Patreon. God, I've got so many things to... I can see why some of these YouTube channels have like multiple editors and like producers and stuff, because it's... You're trying one person, you got like do multiple links. How do I do a post on Patreon again? Oh, great, that's it. Oh. Embed URL. That's that. Oh, good, that's worked. Lovely. Live stream. What I am doing. Next. I'll do all members. I must with Patreon. I'm not keen on that thing they got where they got free members, because I thought the whole point of it is, you know, you pay money to the person you want, sort of thing, and having the free one. Although at least you can at least select what this stuff goes to, because I want to feel like if people are paying me money, they're the ones I want to give the previews to, rather than just the free members. But I guess I could see if you're a free member, then that prompts you then to go and become a paid member. But yeah. But I'll do all members on this because it's just a live stream. Publish. There we go. Has it done it? Appears to have done so. Lovely. That preview doesn't look very good. Never mind. Excellent. I'll come off that now, I think, because that's Patreon. I posted it on Facebook. Posted it on Twitter. Posted it on the Discord. Lovely. Matthias, I don't think he'll be here because he said he's probably well, because he's in the States. If I'd done it tonight, I probably could have done, but we've got 5 viewers. That's good. Yeah, so I just kind of stream opportunistically whenever I get the time. I just had a few hours, and I'll probably be recording a video a bit later, but just like an unscripted one. So I'll do a community post as well, shall I? That might help. Or do I not? I'll probably hold off, I think, because I only did one yesterday, didn't it, with the which actually neatly leaves us on to the Jack the Ripper one. Which, can I get the post of that? I think it's a few people saw it. I don't know if many people saw the post. I don't normally talk about sort of crime ones on the channel. I doubt that this will probably get rid of the monetization for this video, no doubt. But this is the post I am talking about. Let me just double check that works. Because YouTube is terrible for linking posts and so on. Will that do it? When it loads. That appears to have worked. Go. That's it. Right, there we go. That's the community post. Hello, Norman. How long have I been going for? 7 minutes. So yeah, I suppose I guess I'll just start going. So obviously I'm slowly working on the Napoleon review. Update with that. It's looking at about 3.5 hours long. Should hopefully have another chunk previewed for patrons and channel members at the end of the month. I'm hoping it'll be another. It'll either be a 25-minute chunk or it'll be a 45-minute chunk, whichever one I get done first, basically. Once that 45-minute chunk's done, and I'm doing pretty well, I haven't got much left. But sorry, if you hear noise in the background, that's just my dog. He's he's sitting nearby. But we'll have to see. It's really taken out of me. But I noticed as well that because obviously, because this is when they take up so much of my time, I haven't got many. Bruno, stop, boy. Hey, stop. Sorry. I haven't got many other videos planned, so I think I was going to do an unscripted video, and this one's going to be on the 1988 Jack the Ripper series. I'd love to do a review of it someday. I think maybe I've been getting into a bit more lately because there's been a bit of a Ripper craze again, not in that way, but in the media again. I think ever since that Kosminski Shawl story came through, which was a load of rubbish. Again, I did a post on that I think a month or two ago. But yeah, then there was a load of stuff in the media, like documentaries, and Sky did one, Sky Atlantic, one about the media press about it. That one was Jack the Ripper Written Blood, I think it was called. That one wasn't so good. Mainly because they were like 100% going that the Ripper letters were definitely written by the press, which again is a bit iffy. They mainly go off of, was it Fred Best, who's one of the reporters for the Star, who claimed he wrote it in the 1930s, but that was about 40 years after the murders. And I think there was some discrepancies with his story of like how he wrote it. So, but yeah, then that prompted me because I suddenly remembered, oh yeah, there was a TV series, wasn't there, back in for the 100th anniversary. So I got the Blu-ray recently. And yeah, and I watched it a few days ago. It didn't hold up as well as I remembered. But yeah, so like if you follow that post, that links to the community post. Oh, you probably should go to I probably should link the Facebook one, shouldn't I? Because that would have been better. Yeah, good morning, everyone who's coming in. But yeah, as you can see, I've put the topics what I'm mainly just talking about there. And we'll just start with the Jack the Ripper one. I won't go into the history too much. Obviously, I assume most people are aware, and I do go into it in the written review. This one it's a funny one. It's interesting. It started off as a cheap ITV series for the 100th anniversary, and then it was Barry Foster, who you might remember from Fall of Eagles. He'd been in other roles, obviously, but the one I remember most was Fall of Eagles. He played the Kaiser. He was going to be Inspector Aberline, and they started filming it. And there's about 20 minutes of this version on the DVD. Um, and then suddenly CBS came in, the Americans, like, here, have a load of money and completely recast and redo it. And so they did. So poor Barry Foster got the sack. And then they brought in Michael Caine. And I don't want to be rude about one of our more venerated actors who's currently, well, he's 92 years old and living legend, but it's when he's okay in some parts, but when he's getting emotional in this new version they made, the Jack the Ripper one, he's a bit it's funny. And he's trying to be serious, but just because in the series, if you're not aware how it ends, they basically, the whole thing with this series, they try to make it like, aha, this series will finally reveal the identity of Jack the Ripper. Spoiler alert, they didn't. They they claimed it was Dr. Gull, who was in his 70s, based on a kind of crackpot theory that came out in the I think it was kind of sort of 60s, 70s started coming out, that theory, but it's a load of bull. um, and there's a hilarious. He gets into a shouting match with Gull's son-in-law at the end of it. Um, um, yeah, and then some. It's got some quite good actors in it though, like Hugh Fraser. You might recognise the Duke of Wellington from Sharp and Captain Hastings from Poirot. He's Inspector Warren of the Metropolitan Police. Um, Probably the most sympathetic I've seen of Warren actually, because he usually gets really heavily criticised at the time, obviously by the press. And in more modern ones, in particular, say that Sky Atlantic one they did recently, they kind of vilified him quite a bit. He's quite more sympathetic with him, which is nice to see. But it's a weird thing. It all couldn't really decide if it wanted to be a kind of Hammer horror film, but without the horror. A whodunit, kind of like Sherlock Holmes Poirot mystery, or if it wanted to be a story about the actual Jack the Ripper killings. Um, Again, I don't know if is anyone still there, because I see a few people saying good morning, and then nobody sort of reacted to what I'm saying. Hello. Oh, I don't know. It says I've got 10 viewers, but oh wait a minute. There we go. Yeah, sorry, that's good. Good. There are people listening. um, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so like the Warren, yeah. Then it's it's sort of funny because they said that Sky Atlantic one. It's so weird. That one, at least, that was less authentic. This one, definitely. This one was way more authentic, and but still had some problems with the sets and things. Like particularly, they reused this one. They use a lot of like filming on location for like a lot of the fancier buildings. So like say Scotland Yard or um I think did they go to the number 10 at one point? I can't remember now, top of my head. And the Royal, I think they go to the Royal London Hospital, don't they? But then whenever it's like sort of Whitechapel, obviously because most of that has long since been demolished, so they just built a set and they kind of just reused a little set. So you see like the site where it says the Polly Nichols killing, which is meant to be Bucks Row, looks nothing like Bucks Row. And then in the background you can see there's a building that says something like J. Jones on the brickwork. Later on in the episode, when they get to the murder of Elizabeth Stride, that same building is there and is meant to be oh god, where was she murdered? Was it Berners Street? Which is obviously a completely different part of London, but just you notice like they're kind of truncated a bit, haven't they? The only one I remember, Miller's Court, where Mary Kelly was killed, looks somewhat correct. The rest is a bit iffy though. There is a downside as well. They don't really go into the victims too much, which again is a bit of a problem when it's Jack the Ripper because half the story is the victims. Um, they're just kind of incidental characters, particularly the first two. Like the series starts off with just Polly Nichols going in. Where do you get your accent from? I don't know. It's just kind of pronounced English, I guess. I live in Norfolk, so I guess I've picked up a little bit of Norfolk stuff. But then my dad was Cornish, but then he never spoke with a Cornish accent because he was he grew up in London actually. Well, he lived for several years of his life. Um, Speaking of accents, though, it's funny because the actress playing Mary Kelly, I think she's an English actress. I forget her name off the top of my head. But obviously Mary Kelly was Irish, so, so she's doing a bit of a fake Irish accent, which didn't quite work. Um, and then there's a few funny ones when they would get like the was it John Pizer who was the leather apron who was accused of it early on, and then he was innocent. Um, you know, they give some of them funny accents. Um, but yeah, like I said, the sets are a bit, bit mixed, but they look, probably if it was done nowadays, they probably would do a load of rubbish CGI, or they do like this that Sky Atlantic one did where they went and filmed it in Romania, which apparently is known for looking like Victorian London, I guess. Uh, yeah. Um, what's the other points I should mention? Oh yeah, they do things like I said. They kind of the only ones that get to speak is basically the last three of the victims. The series starts with Polly Nichols being brought in. There's that Anthony. That's it. I can never remember it. Which is funny because she was also in a film the same year with Michael Caine, Without a Clue, where it's about Sherlock Holmes, but he's actually a fake. It's Dr. Watson really doing. He makes a fake Sherlock Holmes. He's played by Dan Aykroyd, which is played by Michael Caine. And then Lizette Anthony, she's a character in that. I actually quite like that film. I remember that. I've not seen it recently, but apparently it's on YouTube. Which amazes me how some of these films get on YouTube. Like sometimes it is the companies uploading them, but often it's like somebody just randomly uploads things. They get away with it. Me, I include like 10 seconds from a 1970s series, and good God, I get copyright claim to hell and back by the BBC or something. Or like, I mean, the most rubbish claim I had was the Waterloo Review, part one back year or two ago. One of the reasons it put me off doing part two was I got a claim on that for they claimed it was from a SWAT or something from like the 1970s, which is a police show. I was like, how did the bot think that Napoleon giving a speech to his troops is a police procedural like program from the 70s? It's I don't know. It could be worse, but it's not perfect. The YouTube system. But yeah, no, I think actually part two of the Jack the Ripper series is on YouTube. Surprisingly. Um, but yeah, it was also fun as well because on the Blu-ray it's done in two ways. They do the original aspect ratio and it's done in two parts as it was when it aired, and then there's a kind of 16:9 ratio they do where it's just together like one big long like 3 hour movie. So been making videos so worried because I've used small clips. Yeah, it's my experience is anything about 5 to 6 seconds under that you're safe. That's what I always strive to do when I do my editing. That's one reason why the Napoleon review is taking so long because I'm even if it's like blank, I'm having to do 5 to 6 seconds. If you flip it, I think you can get away with a bit longer. I found sometimes, and then maybe fiddle with the colours or one thing is if you put like an image over it, but like blur the image. Sometimes that works. But it's very trial and error. I mean, that's why whenever I do a video, this is why I'm doing the Napoleon review in chunks, because then I can upload it unlisted. And then the YouTube copyright bot can then detect anything. It actually did happen when I uploaded a chunk of the Napoleon review. They detected there's a bit of music actually, I think. So now I'll be able to swap that around. So I know that in advance. So then hopefully when it airs, it's fine. But even then, sometimes the bot can just decide, you know what, I'm going to detect this thing now. I didn't detect it the last time I uploaded it, but I'll detect it now. So it gets a bit. It's very trial and error trying to do YouTube stuff. Need to finish Elizabeth R. Yeah, it's a very good series. It's entirely on iPlayer now, which is good because they aired it for the anniversary a few years back, and then they kept re-airing it. And now it's done quite well. So yeah. As always, the problem as well with doing the chunk one is because this Napoleon review is 3.5 hours long. But then it's handy. I can do like once a chunk's done, I can sit there for like say a few weeks or a month while I'm doing the next chunk, and then that can go in, and then so it's a slow plodding process. I do admit, obviously, I do feel like I'm a bit fatigued. Trying my best, just but once I get a bit more motivated, then I do sort of push ahead, and I really want to try and get this Napoleon review done as soon as I can. I got the Tudor box set. Does that include the Shadow of the Tower on there? Because I know I had to get my Shadow of the Tower DVD from like Canada or something, because it's not for sale in Britain, and which is a problem as well because obviously they've got a different DVD region out there. But then luckily, I've got a multi we call it one. So no, I'm not going to do reaction videos. I don't like that. I don't. It's the historical ones are a bit better because they at least sometimes add a commentary. But the worst ones are the really lazy reaction video where they just play the video and laugh a bit and pause and just. I mean, I remember there was that whole Susie Lou controversy way back, years ago. She was just sitting there looking like a potato, just not reacting, basically just uploading other stuff. Yeah. Oh, it does contain Shadow of the Tower. That's good. That's good. And of course, my DVD, that's also got the kind of prequel to it. Also not what I call prequel, but like the prelude to it, which is the Tower of London, the Innocent, I think, from 1969. That one's because that was basically kind of like a trial. It's got James Maxwell as Henry VII as a and they actually filmed it at the Tower. Funnily enough, do you play the EU4? Yes, I do quite a bit. Not EU4s, but I mean, I started off Rome Total War was the first game I played when that came out. In 2004 when I was 9. That was the first game I played. I mainly played that for quite a while. And I still play that now quite a bit. Paradox wise, Victoria 2 is probably my favourite. The Paradox one, I don't play that as much as I used to. I play a bit of Hoi 4, although it's getting a bit. It's very bloated. Is the problem because it's Paradox games modern was they're very much like. It's like imagine let's say you go and buy a car and it's 2014, 15, and sorry, just I've got to take a drink. My throat's going. It's 2015, and you're going to go and buy a car, and I think, okay, so here's your car, and it's like, that's weird, it hasn't got an engine in it, or any wheels. No, don't worry, so we'll give you the wheels, they're coming in the Wheels DLC, next Christmas, and so then the Wheels DLC comes along, but they've not fitted the wheels right. And then it's like, okay, no, don't worry, we're now doing the engine DLC, but then the engine DLC messes up the car DLC, sorry, the wheel DLC. It's like, no, don't worry, we'll patch the wheel DLC with new tyres. And then it goes on, and several years later, your car is just this mess of things that was never meant to be on the car because they just keep stapling things on, and that's Hoi 4 really because they just keep doing all these DLC where they're adding crazy focus trees, alt history sort of stuff, which can be fun, but then it's like here's something that was never designed for the game. Now we're adding more countries. Now it's slowing it down to a crawl. Yeah. So I tend to stick to kind of some of the older ones, like, again, I love Rome Total War, Victoria 2, but I still do play quite a bit of Hoi 4, but mainly with mods and stuff. And it's annoying because it's like, you really should when you look at some of the old ones, like Japan, good God, their focus tree is really old now. Like, it's tiny. I mean, Switzerland has a bigger focus tree than Japan in Hoi 4, which is ridiculous. And then you get like generals, like, I think, is it Finland has got more generals in Hoi 4 than France? And France is a much bigger country, but yeah. Wolfhall Part 2 is a letdown. I thought it was alright. It's definitely weaker than season 1, and obviously I think like I was actually talking to my mum the other day because she saw it. It was a bit like it was very slow and nothing. It felt like nothing was happening in the first sort of 4 episodes, and then suddenly there's a bit of a rush at the end. A lot of that was interesting because there's been some articles lately, which I wish I knew about when I was doing the upcoming Tudor Dramas video, where they were saying about the making of it, that basically they literally had no budget. Because normally the Americans will come in and say, oh, we'll give you like 2/3 of the budget, so the British, don't have to do as much, which is, it's a sad thing that has to be it, but apparently it is, even as far back as the Jack the Ripper series, one of the reasons it was originally going to be a cheap ITV series, and then CBS came in and gave them a load of money, so they're able to make it better. How old are you? I'm 29 and I'm 30 in a couple of months. So, maybe yeah. Sorry, back to the production thing. And there was the same with like season 1. I think the Americans gave a bit of money for season 1, and they basically got no money this time, and it had to be entirely British funded. And it got to the point it nearly got cancelled, and they never filmed it. And then in the end, Kosminski, not Jack the Ripper, the is it Kosminski? Oh God, who is he? Hang on, Wolfhall. Yeah, it's Peter Kosminski. It's funny to talk about Jack the Ripper because there is Aaron Kosminski's one of the suspects there. Peter Kosminski, who was the main writer. he had to take a massive pay cut, as did Mark Rylance. They voluntarily took massive pay cuts just to have enough money to actually make the thing. And like, apparently, because I've not read the book. I have the book. My sister got it to me for Christmas, but I'm going to read it whenever I do a review of All Fall, part two. There's apparently a big jousting scene in it with Gregory, and that was apparently going to be done, and they had to cancel it at the last minute because they just didn't have the money to do it. So that definitely sadly affected it. So who do you think the actual suspect is? It's none of the people that are named. Look at they're all massive. If you had to pick any of the ones that are constantly named, it's probably Kosminski is likely, not for the shawl. The shawl thing though was rubbish, because basically there's no evidence that the shawl belonged to Edo's. The DNA stuff is highly suspect because they use a type of DNA that isn't definitive, like it could be anyone. There's a lot of dodginess with the method to the point that the journal they published it in quite recently came out with a expression of concern, I believe it is, which means they're actually not a bit. They're a bit shaken up. But the problem is the press ran all with it and they went crazy. Aha, we've sold it. We got Jack the Ripper. And not to mention, well, like a load of relatives of Kosminski and Edo's handled the shawl. So, rewatch Titanic '96 so bad it's good. Yeah, I actually. There's the funny thing, like, because the Junior Fellow Titanic is technically better, but I prefer watching the '96 one because it's just kind of hilariously bad. The CG, oh god, I mean, you look at like the CGI, particularly when the ship's going, you can literally see like these little stick men walking off, like it's a. Oh god. Any other history that's so bad it's good? Oh, trying to think on the top of my head, really. Nothing I can think of at the minute. I'd have to get back to that, but yeah, like you said, the '96 one. Oh god, I mean, the one that made me burst out. Literally, I did a spit take because when I was rewatching this a few years ago. The discount third class family that's coming on, and then the woman says we're no simps, and obviously now I think that they meant simps in a simpleton, and that was probably what it meant. Maybe they were probably using a word from then. In the modern era, the word simp has taken on a completely different, completely different connotation. So I was sitting there and I just like had to pause because it was like, like, oh dear. It's kind of tragic though because that third class family, the ginger one, that are kind of West Country, Cockney, Irish. I don't know what they are. Doncaster, they say they're from, because there's this hilarious bit where they get up on the deck and there's all the lifeboats are gone and they're meant to be, oh no, it's sad, they're all going to die, and then the dad, I think it's probably a Canadian actor who's trying to do a bad British sort of accent, but he can't decide what he's doing. He goes like, who would have thought that us, a family from Doncaster, would come to this or something like that. It's just, I'm just laughing so much. It's funny. Um, oh, that was hilarious, and it's not meant to be because like in the original script, because sadly Ross Laman, who was one of the writers, there was two. I think his website doesn't exist anymore, but it's on the Internet Archive. He posted about this way back in 1992. He started pitching this idea, and he wrote a script that's fairly decent. There's bits in there's fictional love story and stuff, but it's much more historical to it, and actually has the Goodwin family, who were an English family that all died on the Titanic, sadly. And it was going to be their story, and then basically, I forget who made it. Was it CBS? I think it was CBS made the Titanic one. They came in and were like, "Oh, don't worry, because the man had gone to other stuff. They're like, we got this woman, Joyce Ellison, I think her name's on the top of my head. She's going to come in and just clean up the script." And it's, oh yeah, that's fine. And then when it aired, it was nothing like what he wrote. And that family, they got completely changed into the weird Cockney West Country, whatever they are family. And I guess she cleaned it up in the same way like the mafia cleans up, took it around the back of the house and shot it. Oh god, and it's funny because we read that Ellison woman, like the stuff she wrote was like kind of trashy, cheap dramas, like Last Confederate Veteran tells all about like this teenage girl who married an old Confederate veteran. I was like, oh god. Oh, Alice Cleaver. Yeah, I've got the book of that actually, just there I can see. which a family wrote, where they go like, actually in response to all that, just like, yeah, this load of rubbish, you've completely slandered this, because they got part of it comes because I think a historian a couple of years prior had written the book, and he got the name muddled up because it was like she was Alice C. Cleaver or something, and then the one on the Titanic was Alice M. Cleaver, or other way around. I made a cock up. Yeah, I must do. I really want to do a Titanic one at some point, but the problem is I have to. It just takes so much longer to edit now, and now I'm having to sort of really do it. And plus, I feel like I'm getting longer and longer with writing them now, because it feels like there's more I want to say and want to cover. That, like, within this Napoleon review, which has driven me insane. um, yeah, that's it. Yeah, Mary Cleaver's the murder, Catherine Cleaver and the Titanic. That's the one. Yeah. So I'll just go back up. Would you review any other historical movies, Lawrence of Arabia, Ben-Hur? Probably not any of the ancient stuff. I do know a fair bit of ancient stuff because I did classics at A level, but I tried to stick to sort of my period. Although I might be doing, like I said, I do want to do this Jack the Ripper series at some point, which is a change because I've never really done a true crime one before. The problem is monetization will be an issue because it's about a serial killer. Um, there is a historical one I want to cover, which might be highly controversial, which is the murder of Mary Fagan. Looking at the history of that, and mainly because it probably was Leo Frank who did it, but the problem is, it's like the mainstream view has always been like that. Oh, he was 100% innocent, but then you read the actual evidence, like, no, he did it. Oh yeah, I can't say murder, but I've said it about 3 times now, haven't I? So, well, this video ain't monetized. Never mind. She's one of the oldest lived. Yeah. I forget I mean, obviously, older probably been the last one, but she was 100 and nearly 100, wasn't she, when she died? Yeah. Oh God, what was her name? I forgot her head. Milvina Dean. That's it. Milvina Dean. Um. Any historical movies you won't cover? Oh, I mean, there's a few. And obviously, I've said I'm not going to cover that My Lady Jane series. Definitely not, because I've sort of covered it. I've done the video on the trailer, and then I'd mentioned it a bit in the unscripted one. But that's like, I'm not subjecting myself to that. That is just like, okay, yeah, it's the meme of the guys on the plate. And it's like, why are you shitting on my plate? It's like, how do you know it's shit? It's not out yet. It's like, no, I can see it. It's interesting because ITV was it back in December announced this like Majesty series. It was meant to be about Henry VIII and Elizabeth, and I've not heard a word about it since. It's it's weird. Like, I thought you'd have heard some sort of casting by now. It's been 5 months. Like, I half wonder if they're going to quietly cancel it because the current administration in Washington has been playing with the Victoria 2 tariff slider, and particularly on movies. So I wonder if that's going to impact, and they're going to be dialing back really heavily on stuff. So, if Becoming Elizabeth got a second season, how do you think would have gone? How far do you think it would have gone? Well, actually, we have an answer to that because the writer, whatever her name was, I forgot off the top of my head, and she followed me on Twitter. Um, Again, sorry for the noise. That's my dog. If you're hearing, he's scratching himself. Um, she said she was going to take it to Mary's death. That was going to be so basically season 2 would have been the beginning is going to be Edward dying, and it was going to end with Lady Jane Grey becoming queen. Episode 2 would have been Lady Jane Grey in the 9 days. And I'm assuming they were 8 episodes, weren't they? So then, and then the rest of it was going to be Mary's reign. I don't know when Jane would have been executed. They might have held. I no idea. Probably like episode like 5 or 6 or something. And then it would end. She mentioned the siege of Calais was going to be a thing. And then the fall of Calais, and then and that's, I guess that would make the perfect end in it becoming Elizabeth. She's now become Elizabeth. She's now the queen. It's interesting because there is that cast interview they did when it was airing. They did like a Q&A, and they including one of my questions. I stuck one in. Although it was on Bella Ramsey's Instagram. Now obviously she's since deleted her Instagram because of stuff. But I've got the video downloaded because it was in my review of it. And they mentioned they were hoping they could do like up to like maybe in the beginning of like Elizabeth's reign, but then got cancelled. But if there's anything like, I'd rather that got a second season than like something say like anything else that got made. But that's how we go. Version 19 and the fellow series the music. I can't remember the music too well, to be honest. I remember it was pretty dull, the 2012 one. I mean, the problem with the 2012 one was obviously all the just the stupid pattern of having it like restarting each time. It's like Groundhog Day. Would you cover alt history? Probably not. I might. There's times I'll mention like again because I'm at some point again. I've got so many things I want to do. I do want to do a proper like history of like Lady Jane Grey at some point. Um, and in there, there's interesting bits that could have gone differently with her because like it's often sort of portrayed like kind of nobody knew who she was. Mary was really popular, so she just got sort of swept to power. It was inevitable that Mary would have won. When actually, if you look at it, it was a bit shaky. Like Mary could have lost. Like if only a couple of things had gone differently. Like if Robert Dudley caught up to her, that would have been it. If Northumberland, if he'd actually paid the fleet before he set sail, they probably wouldn't have mutinied, so she wouldn't have had all those guns. If the Duke of Suffolk had gone to lead the army rather than the Duke of Northumberland, which is what was going to happen before Jane begged for Northumberland to go, that could have completely changed things. Because then obviously because Mary wanted to make out she was a legitimate, well, she was the queen obviously, but further her legitimacy, obviously it was ordained that she was going to win. And then you read like actually it was touch and go, like anything, one of those things in history where like a couple of decisions and it completely changes. So that could be interesting. We're directing the opponent changing an event that counted a lot of history. If I mean, alt history, because they were like, this is a film about Napoleon, and then it's just no, they just lied. um, do you want? Do you want to the YouTube? Do you want to the YouTube history buffs to review Napoleon? Well, he is reviewing it. He has announced, hasn't he? I must get that before him. Again, I don't think I doubt his will be longer than mine. Mine will be the longest. I think, be 3.5 hours. I'm not doing that deliberately just to say, haha, I have the longest one. But no, there is a lot to say with Napoleon. A collab. I've no idea. I don't think he knows that exists, to be honest. I don't. Does he ever do collabs? I don't think he does. He doesn't really post very much either, does he? But then I don't either. Cause I think that's just also just the copyright system is like that. So yes, it was very dire. It's I mean, surprised. I've seen worse historical ones. You'd be surprised the things I've seen, like mainly the Tudor side of things, like Blood, Sex and Royalty on Netflix. Um, that one was god awful. I hate that. It's funny because my mum was. This is last year. I think she suddenly started watching. I was like, "Oh no, mum, don't watch it. Don't." I warned her. And then she after was like, "Oh yeah, I see what you mean. That was that was dire." But things can always get worse. That's the problem. Ted Hope inside the dumpster, yeah. And it's just funny because again, obviously I have now deleted that preview bit, but I go over some of the stuff with the making of it. And Ridley Scott is that man needs to go to a retirement home. He really does. He's past it. Like he was doing an interview that I remember covering this at the time it came out, a written interview, and he was talking about Waterloo, the 1970 film, and he said something to the effect of that Waterloo 1970 was really boring because it's just battles, and that's boring. You don't want to be sat watching a boring movie. You got to make it more exciting. You can't cover all of Napoleon's life in just one battle. That's why you need to do all of his life in 2.5 hours. But then you don't do it. You just make it on Josephine, and then you don't have any battle. They're just kind of shit. It's like, oh, what have you done? And then it's quite funny. There's been a couple of interviews some of the makers did with oh god, one went on Critical Drinkers podcast a couple of years back. I forget the guy's name, but he's LARPing. Well, he claims to have been like some sort of ex like paratrooper or something. I thought, oh god, it's like I've got it in the video. I just put up the what was it the Navy SEAL copy pasta just. And he would just go and like, oh, if you don't like it, it's tough sort of thing. And oh, he was acting so bolshy about it. And I'll stream time here. Oh, I am getting a bit of a warning. I've got new internet, but that should be faster. How is the stream for everyone? Is it stuttering or? I'll see. I'll just pause a minute. It shouldn't be because I've got new. It's good. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. It's difficult to say because I sometimes I do that when I'm watching things. It's gets delayed, and then sometimes it might be my internet, it might be somebody else's. It's funny. I was watching Spudgun is a YouTuber quite like watching does Victoria 2 content. He was live streaming. I was hearing it twice, and I said that in the chat. It was like, I think you might have it open in two tabs, and then I was like, oh yeah, I do actually have it open in two tabs. It's like, oh god, boomering my own thing. Yeah, sad to see Ridley Scott fall off. But what was? Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, I was talking about the Paul Bidis. I just remembered his name. Yeah, and oh god, he was talking about Waterloo, like the the trenches at Waterloo, which is like what the hell? Um, why did they do that? And then he was like, basically, there's nothing I could have done. They'd already dug them. Just like, yeah, but that's the problem, isn't it? Like, it's no good having a historical advisor when you've like ready to roll with the cameras. Like, you need those guys early on when you're writing it, because it's like, yes, there's trenches at Waterloo and Napoleon. They oh god, it's like again, just type up like Battle of Waterloo map. You can look at the formations and you can see the thing, and then in the Napoleon movie, they're just in like a load of trenches, tents right behind them, right in the front line, but all going to get destroyed, which is great for after the battle. And then they all go out the trenches in a big line like it's World War One. And one of the French officers even said, "Over the top, lads," in the film. Like, oh. And then the only like Napoleonic sort of tactic they have, yeah, going to see those trenches. Yeah, definitely. Um, is square formation, but again, this is the best because the whole point in trenches is like they're defensive, and they got spikes from them, which is actually good if you're against cavalry because that did happen at Borodino. Um, because Bagration had time to prepare, so he dug Bagration's flèches or other. Sorry, it was Kutuz that was in charge, wasn't he? But and then in the movie they leave the trenches which have the spikes in front, which would stop the cavalry, and advance to the French cavalry to then form square, which is like, what are you doing? This is like in like a Game of Thrones when they send, they've got a castle and they put their army in front of the castle to go and fight the Night Walkers. You're just like, why didn't you go behind the castle? Unless they got no room, I guess. But they're like, okay, then you could have dug some trenches. But I guess I don't know. Kutuzov, I can't remember. Not Kutuzov. What was he? Oh, not Kutuzov. What was he? Got the name. Shoot. Yeah, Kutuzov. It was Kutuzov. Mikhail Kutuzov. No, it was Kutuzov was in charge of the Battle of Borodino. Yeah, it's this guy, look. There you go. But yeah, they're just so ridiculous. So, I've got I think the Waterloo section that the Napoleon review is very long. I've gone about like 20 odd minutes, 25 minutes, and then there's another bit later in the authenticity section. So, I don't know. Yep. Yeah, well, they say Borodino, but the thing is, they actually reused Marengo for Borodino because in the extended edition, it's literally the same shot. They just then flip it, and then in the movie, they didn't even bother redoing it, which is ridiculous. I'll go into that in the extended edition video. Oh god, that film is that is a pain. That has been the bane of my existence for a while. Actually, let's look at what stream health doing. I keep saying warning without saying good, so I don't know. Yeah, I mean, there's the great thing is, what was I going to say? Something about Napoleon. Oh yes, because there's the series Napoleon and Love from 1974 with Ian Holm, which is actually pretty decent. I've put quite a few clips of that in the Napoleon review because it just made like, why didn't you just use some of that as a basis? Because some of that's even if you're going to do the love story side of things, that would have been way better to base it on. It's way more accurate, particularly just the acting. Like Ian Holm is really good as Napoleon. Um, in fact, actually, let me go on my Facebook page a second because there is a clip. Can I post it here? There we go. Oh god, where's the videos? God, I hate using Facebook. It's terrible. So it's gotten worse in recent years because it's post. Where's the videos? I used to have videos. Okay, I can't find videos. Give me a second. I'm just trawling through stuff while I try to find it. Oh, I post way too much. These are the written posts. But yeah, there's a clip here I wanted to show of Napoleon. From the. Oh, where is it? Come on. No, 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 no. It's got to be here. Where is it? No. No. There we are. Found it. Right, so there we go. Right, here's the clip. So sorry, it's on the Facebook page. That's a clip of Ian Holm as Napoleon with Mary Louise, and then you compare it to Napoleon, the Ridley Scott one. That's actually going to be in the review. That little clip there, I just took that out of it. Just compare the two. Which do you think is the better performance? Was it several departments not really talking to each other? No, a lot of it is Ridley Scott is the leader of all this. Really, he was. There was another one. One of the other Lawrence Chevalier, who was a French historian, is one of the other main advisors of Napoleon. He said that basically he's a bit of a tyrant and he just like fires anyone who disagrees with him. Like apparently he fired several advisors on the original Gladiator, um, for daring to raise questions about accuracy. And I imagine this, and he said apparently like, yeah, if you dare question me, you're out, sort of thing. So yeah, you got this dementia riddled tyrant who doesn't know what he's doing, and no one questions him, and they gave him like $120 million or something. Yeah, it'd be nice to get it would be nice to get the Napoleon review out before the History Buffs one. um, that depends, obviously. Like I say, it's going to be about 3.5 hours. I'm getting there slowly, so. Just like Grandpa Simpson, yeah. Life has not been kind to Joaquin Phoenix. He was like nearly 50 when he filmed that, and he looks older. And again, Napoleon, remember, he's playing Napoleon when he's like young, which is terrible. But the funny thing is, like, Ian Holm was, I think he was in his 40s or something when he was playing Napoleon in Napoleon Love there, and he looks younger. And also just because he's a good actor as well. I don't know, Joaquin Phoenix seems terrible. Yeah. Right, how's things going? I keep getting warnings saying stream's health, and then it says it's good, so I don't know, it's fluctuating. Like I've got new internet recently, it was meant to be faster, so it should be all right. But that was hell trying to. It's a real life discussion because it was with TV for Sky, and then we're with broadband and phone stuff with BT, and so I decided it's easier to switch everything to Sky on one thing so I get a discount. So I did all that. Then I got BT phone me up trying to get me back. So then I did a deal with them, switched everything to them. Then Sky phoned Sky to cancel that thing, and then I ended up doing a deal with Sky and went back to them. And so then just go back and forth. So. Oh god, he did do Robin Hood, didn't he? I forgot that. I saw that years ago. I could barely remember it, but I just remember there being bits like he sort of tried to do a bit more historical, but also at the same time not. And trying to kind of make it back like them fight the French and stuff, and King John, Magna Carta, but was a bit of a problem when he did Robin Hood. What's the traditional image? I guess is just him in the Sherwood Forest, fighting the evil sheriff of Nottingham. And apparently they are doing another Robin Hood movie or series. I don't know if it's been announced, but again, that'll be rubbish, won't it? I feel like as well because the BBC did one back in the 2000s. That was the beginning of this slide we get now, where it's all weird because they had they were all like in hoodies and stuff, weren't they? There's like I want to say like 2005, six. And they did they do a Blackfriar Tuck in that one? I think they might have done. I can't remember. Which was that was I mean that was kind of a joke in like the in Robin Hood Men in Tights with Rabbi Tuckman, and they made it. They did a bit later with that, and then it was that and that Merlin series. Oh yeah, nice to see you, TK. Yeah, and then it was like, oh no, yeah, but they're fictional, so that don't really count. And then it was like they did the Shakespeare stuff, like the Hollow Crown series. They had a half black Guinevere. And one of the defenders of that was, yes, but this depiction of her, it's fictionalized. This picture of her where she's blonde. I was like, okay, yeah, but it's still a contemporary depiction of her. Same way, like in the Palace of Whitehall, in the banqueting house, there's a the huge portrait on the ceiling of James the First or Sixth ascending to heaven. Now that didn't happen as far as we know, but still a contemporary depiction of the king. But yes, okay, fine. I guess Shakespeare's a fictitious, and then it's like late 2000s. You get like that Mary Queen of Scots movie where it's like we made the English ambassador, and Elizabeth Lady's Waiting swapped. But like, yeah, but they're minor characters, not the main ones. Like, okay, and then the early 2020, there's like Anne Boleyn's black now, Edward's gay, black and disabled, and there's like, and yeah, whatever, and here we are. Yeah. Old people bathe in the arts community. It depends because the problem is a lot of the young ones coming up are just don't have much talent. You see that with a lot of these writers, they fail upwards. They write one thing or they get it through nepotism. I mean, there was that War of the Rohirrim movie recently with Lord of the Rings one, and one of the writers on it, she only got it because her mother is Philippa Boyens. I think it was one of the original writers on Lord of the Rings who did that. So, oh, Romeo and Juliet, another one. Oh God. Oh yeah, I remember when I was in high school, we had to watch a bit of the was it Leonardo DiCaprio, where it's like it's all modern, and they go like draw your long swords, and then they pull out pistols with long sword on. Like wow, that's clever. Wow, I applaud you. That's so clever how you modernise that. that, but they keep the original Shakespearean language. It looks weird. Oh dear. And then now they're doing that with period dramas. I mean, again, like that one on Netflix about Anne Boleyn. God. Oh yeah, thanks for the Battle Bill. Yeah, I quite like that movie. It's a shame not many more people watched it, but I don't know. YouTube is weird with how it promotes videos. God, it's difficult to tell what to do. But I mean, I kind of just make videos I want to make, and if it does well, it does well. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I just have to put up with it. Yeah, Neil Brim. But that's literally, I've always seen that scene. I just suddenly thought of, oh yeah, that'd be good. It makes sense because obviously you can't use Downfall because that's actually about it. The bunker. So, uh, well, I did actually. I did do it. I didn't upload it because I don't cover non-historical stuff. But that Snow White movie, God, that was awful. I only watched about 45 minutes of it, I think. Um, I did a clip of Downfall like with Hitler watching it, go, and then just ended with him shooting himself. But I think I put it on Twitter somewhere on my Twitter. Actually, let me see if I can find it. Let's see. Give me a minute. Media. Is it this one? It's this one. Yeah, that's the one. That is the Snow White movie in a nutshell. I God, I hate that movie. And it's like it's quite funny when like, oh, why are you talking about like a princess movie? Things like, it's the movie that built the Walt Disney Company, and it's like it needs to be studied in history class, like how to not to market and make a movie. Have you seen Napoleon and Josephine: A Love Story? Yes, many years ago. I can remember bits. I remember they just constantly kept reusing footage from like Waterloo and the really old like Gregory Peck Hornblower series, film even, because they couldn't do any of the battles. Surprisingly better than Napoleon. They definitely covered the Josephine stuff better there, and that was a kind of fairly schlockily made sort of um, series. But yeah, you know a lot of things about than Ridley Scott's Napoleon. Sorry, just taking another drink. I still not update the thumb. That's annoying. Let me refresh it a minute. Yes, update. I thought I'd update the thumb anyway. Yeah. In a short video, you remember seeing the kid? What was the first reaction when seeing the rapping dog? I mean, obviously, I was 6 or 7, I think, when I was trying to remember. I think I was 6, maybe, or was it? No, I think it might have been 7. When I first saw that one. It's an experience. I've still got it on DVD actually. I must try and put that on my rip there actually because I've just in case you never know when I might need that footage. I think like because I was into everything Titanic and I didn't fully comprehend it. It was like oh, okay, it's the Titanic. Okay, that's weird. There's a dog there. And then years later, oh wait, there was a dog that's doing rap on the Titanic. Yeah, that is weird. The funny thing is, there's actually the original because it was done in Italy, and this was like kind of the dubbed version, and they made it even worse. And there's actually another English version. It's slightly less. It's still bad, but less bad. Like it's kind of weird. Um, and then obviously then there was like a rip off of the rip off with the what was it? The Legend of the because what Titanic? The Legend Goes On is the one I saw as a kid, the one I got on DVD. And the funny thing is, like, I think my mum bought that for me. She found it in a bargain bin at Tesco's or something like that. It's like, oh, he's into everything Titanic. There we go. Let's get that. And now that's worth quite a bit, I believe, that DVD because it's a bit rarer. And then somebody did a rip off of the rip off. Was it also the Italians? Like the second worst thing they've done was Titanic, the Legend of the Titanic, where it's like an octopus is in it, and oh god. And then they did a sequel to it, like Tentacalino or something. It's weird. Why do you choose the known Laughing Cavalier? I can't remember honestly. I think it was because I didn't actually create this. I created the channel way back, even before I started doing videos. It's just kind of a thing, and I started doing like kind of little funny meme videos initially, way back in like 2015, 16. But they've long since been deleted. They were nothing. And then they just kind of sat there. Well, and then it was after. I think I just finished uni, and I was just like, I think I've been watching some. So I think maybe I watched History Buffs a bit, and I'm watching films. I've particularly been watching Cromwell late. And one of the things as well. I was involved in the English Civil War mod for Mountain Blade Warband. I think they were trying to redo that one. I think they contacted me about that. I'm sure they had. Did I? I might have meant to reply to them. I think I've forgotten. And obviously because the guy who did that guy called Dazza, he's actually my first subscriber. And I was kind of like I ended up being this kind of historical researcher for the mod, so I had a load of stuff, and then I thought, I'm going to do a review of this Cromwell one. So I did the review, and I actually that was my first experience with the copyright system because I got immediately copyright claimed. Then I fought it off, and then it just kind of went from there. But yeah, I cannot remember why I chose the Laughing Cavalier name. It might have been maybe because I was doing the English Civil War thing, and obviously I was meant to be just covering English Civil War, so I go for that sort of theme. And then I quite like, and obviously I use that particularly because it's not the Laughing Cavalier portrait, even though the Dutch it's a Dutch portrait, the original Laughing Cavalier. There's not a Cavalier, one from the 1620s. I think it's Richard Neville is the when this is based off. I quite liked that, so just that's a nice image, and I've just used it ever since. So, and yeah, it's worked. So yeah. Any other? Sorry, I'm just gonna. History words what he said. I see. Oh, thank you. Scrolling. That's the version. Tasting that. And Montrose. That could work. Problem is the problem is we don't really. I'm starting to sound like an old man now. With like, in my day we used to do education a lot better. Um, but it's like you do see a kind of slide in the standards of it with like my niece and nephew are young. My nephew's 6, he's 7 this year. My niece has just turned 4, and then my niece she's just starting school. My nephew's been at school a couple of years, and you start to see comparisons with like how I was 20 odd years ago when I was going through school, and it's like, oh, they've really simplified it. They're doing like, but I know he's only 6, so he's not going to be doing like what I was. But I was doing something. I was doing like the Romans and the Anglo Saxons, ancient Egyptian stuff, and like he's just kind of doing like, oh, let's look at London and would you cover foreign films like Seven Samurai? I don't know. I want to cover Downfall if obviously which is a German film. Like I really want to do a review of that at some point. Um, and I do have a script half written for it, but that'd be a long time away if I ever do that. I don't know about Japanese ones. If it was Japanese, I'd have to cover probably something like the war. But yeah, I have to say I love the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. So yeah, definitely. It's quite funny because it's just come on digital. And actually, I was just on Sky. You look at the TV guide the other day. And they're really trying to promote the digital release. And apparently, it had its last hurrah in cinemas recently. They released it in 1,200 cinemas, and it didn't do very well. So, uh, but yeah, like I said, if you want to promote a movie, don't hire an actress who slags off the original, doubles down, gets into sort of political spats, and then you do all that. You just take away like all the things that made the original so sort of charming and the things you remember as a kid. And the problem as well, because it's quite funny, is one person who's escaped a lot of blame with that is Greta Gerwig, because she was originally a writer on this new Snow White one. But then she's a bit like a German officer at the end of the war. She's like, I was just obeying orders. And now she claims she was barely involved. She's wrote a few jokes. Um, and now, of course, she's doing Narnia, which they're going to ruin. Because, I mean, that's been depressing me, some of the Narnia stuff. Because, again, we covered quite a bit. When I was at school, we did a whole thing on like fantasy stories, and we read out the Silver Chair and the Last Battle in class. Um, and she's going to be doing the Magician's Nephew, and it sounds a train wreck. What was the big story they had? There's quite a few they've done with. Oh yeah, they're touting Meryl Streep as Aslan, which I mean I don't think I need to say why that's terrible. Hopefully that's a rumor. That's not going to happen. Maybe they're doing that just to throw that out there, and then they'll get the pushback, and they won't. But and then it's going to have rock and roll or something, which is like I don't think I'm pretty sure C.S. Lewis would have, you know, he's probably spinning furiously in his grave. Like I know we've got problems with like the national grid at the moment with generating electricity, so if we just hook it up to the grave of C.S. Lewis and maybe Tolkien, we could probably fund the whole country's electricity with that. Oh, there is a manga actually. Yeah, there's I don't know if that was actually licensed or not, or if that was like they just did it without permission because they did. I think they did the Magician's Nephew, and then they started doing the Lion Witch and the Wardrobe, and I don't know what happened to it. Um, Looking forward to be finally forgotten. Yeah, it was fun. They just seeing the actually like everything that happened with that just film. It was like Sideshow Bob stepping on brakes with. God, it's. Right, I'll probably go maybe a few more minutes and then I'll stop. I think 'cause I've done longer than I thought. Actually, I was originally going to do half an hour, but I've ended up talking about quite a bit. So, do you have a girlfriend? Afraid not. If there's anyone in the chat, there's no. That's a bit. I better not do that. That's a bit weird. I always have that problem when in photographs I look awkward. Just when I was at well, sixth form, we were on a field trip to Yorkshire, and a couple of the classes they recreated the Titanic scene because there was a bit in the we're on the seafront. There's a bit that jutted a bit like the front of the Titanic, and they were doing the I'm flying Jack thing, and then I accidentally wandered into the back, and I just looked weird. Um, yeah, because I always had a reputation of being a history nerd even back then. No matter what school I was at. So Did a uni session when it's funny because I did mine. Which way round was it? I did my undergrad on. Did I do my undergrad on Nelson? No, I did my undergrad on Wellington and his army in Spain, I think, and then I did my MA on Nelson and his fleet, I think. Yeah, I think that's the way around I did. I remember now, but uh, oh yeah, just a reminder. There is if you want to be a channel member. Well, let me just do uh, bu- 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 invite people. Is that the one? Give me a second. I always forget to do this when I'm doing these sort of things. Sorry, that's the one. Where is it? There we are. So if you want to join the Discord, there is the link. Um, do I have the link? Let me go on my YouTube page. Do I have the link to my Patreon and stuff? I hate how YouTube has changed the layout. Because it used to be they actually linked a lot of your stuff in the channel banner here, which was nice, and now they don't do that. It's in a kind of weird. You have to click on more, and it's just there, which is very, very annoying. There's my Patreon, and if I do, if I when I do previews, if you're a Patreon member or channel member, and can I do? I think I'll go into the studio to get that link. I often do the preview video, so you get them a little bit ahead of time. You know, get an idea of what they are ahead of other people. It's only a few pound a month. Just helps me out. Let me see. God, is it YouTube partner memberships? There we go. Sorry, I have to find the. I wish they had it like proper link. Link to share. There we are. So yeah, if you want to be a channel member, let me just double check actually before I hit enter on that. It loads. Thank you. Yeah, that's it. So if you want to become a channel member, there you go. I've seen Bequest of the Nation. I have, yes. I was on National Geographic when I was a kid, and then it was kind of like lost for years. Now I think that is now actually fully on YouTube. Actually, Michael Jason he's Captain Hardy, and Gunter Jackson's Lady Emma Hamilton, I think. So right. Well, any last questions? Put them in now because I'll probably be ending the stream in a minute. So I'll skip a few seconds to see. I've got a slight delay just to allow for the the stream. They've done pretty well. 20 views is not bad. I was expecting less, to be honest. Because I'm streaming at an unusual sort of time, so. You have a weird dream that I review Godzilla. Not, I don't know why I'd be reviewing North Korean movies, but. Right. Well, if there's no other questions, I think that's about. I've answered most of them. I think there's probably fewer. Probably some. It's a bit annoying the YouTube live stream. It doesn't actually show all the comments because I go back later and there's ones that have been hidden automatically by YouTube that I don't know it's done that. And then some of the ones I'm responding to, and then they disappeared later on. So it's so. God, YouTube is a bit of a mess sometimes. But yeah, if there's no other comments, again, there's links if you want to join the Discord, become a Patreon, become a channel member. Yeah, it's good. I thought I'd just do this as a little thing. So anyway, this has been the Laughing Cavalier. Wishing you a good day.